Hello, everyone. I hope all is well. Today, I will be reviewing The Incorporation of America Culture and Society in the Gilded Age by Alan Trachtenberg. So, a few things about this one. I find it very, very interesting to see such an in depth look into the Gilded Age, not only from the point of view of the elite, but of the working class who propelled this movement and who sometimes get lost in the shuffle of focusing on the glamour and the glitz and the illustriousness that comes from the infamous Gilded Age. Um, Trachtenberg, in this, he puts forth quite a unique thesis that's loosely states that for America to move forward after the Civil War, there needed to be incorporation. Whether that incorporation was between races, between Native Americans and American citizens, or between classes. There was a new labor force starting, and it brought about some strains that uh, America had not faced before. So they had to work through that, and in turn, in some ways, it became violent because the economic push and the capitalist push was not always in conjunction with that of morals or the working conditions of the working class. And so, even though they were pushing forth this great movement, they were still second rate citizens and not getting what the fruits of their labor, which is interesting because the way that the elite were able to progress was through the work of these laborers. And so he places it as a turning point to where basically they're in an impasse where there has to be changes. There has to be changes in the labor force. There has to be changes in how they interact with Native Americans, especially in the age of pushing forth and expanding the borders of the United States from sea to shining sea. So it was a very trying time. While it was glamorous for some, mostly the elite, it was also a very harsh progression as well as depressions economically, as well as a shift both politically and culturally towards refinement. And once again, with this refinement, it was mostly reserved for the middle to upper class. So these shifts were pushing the classes further and further apart as one worked to support one class and the other worked to separate themselves through refinement in this class. So the process and the changes that took place during the Gilded Age are mostly what Trachtenberg focuses on. He divides his work into 7 chapters, and for the most part, he is using stories and different historical events to create a complete view of what the Gilded Age looked like from both sides. So he tells stories of the labor strikes and riots and the violence that went along with that, but also of religious and utopian ideas of what a good society, a good refined society should look like in order to show both sides of it. So the struggle and those who realize that this may not be the culture that we're currently in may not be the best one. So let's create a utopian one, but still that created exclusion because you had to have the means to enter into these utopian societies, which is something that we also see today with the means to be in a peaceful and utopian environment. You still have to have the means and the upward social movement to create this. So I think that's what makes Trachtenberg's piece still so relevant, even though he uses the Gilded Age as his interest and his research. Many things can be taken away from that to put it into society or into other aspects of history where we're looking at classes and class division where they have to make a decision on if we will let this divide continue, or if the lower class will rise up and make changes just so that they can live a better life, or to take advantage of the laws and the rights that they're given, natural laws, natural rights. And it's something that we see today, not only in the United States, but in many other countries around the world. People are still fighting for these basic rights, or basic things that they believe they should have.